Hey everyone, welcome back. In today's session, we are diving into one of the most important concepts in machine learning evaluation, the F score. We will cover why we need the F score, go through some examples, understand the reason behind the F1 score, learn how to calculate it step by step, and even explore the F beta score along with what beta actually means. By the end, we will also work through a detailed example so that the whole concept becomes crystal clear. So let's get started with our first topic, why do we need the F score? So let's start with a very important question. Why do we even need the F score? When we evaluate a machine learning model, two metrics usually stand out: precision and recall. Precision tells us how correct our positive predictions are. In other words, out of all the times our model said yes, how many times was it actually right? On the other hand, recall tells us how complete our positive predictions are. Out of all the actual positives that exist, how many did our model manage to catch? Now here's the problem. In real world scenario, we don't want just one of these to be good. We care about both. Think about it. We don't want to miss actual positive cases. That means we need high recall, but at the same time, we don't want to label too many negatives as positives either. That means we also need high precision, and that's exactly where the F score comes into play. It gives us a single number that balances both precision and recall together. Now let's understand this with a couple of real world examples. First, think about fraud detection in banks. A good model should be able to catch as many fraudulent transactions as possible, which means it needs high recall, but at the same time, it should not wrongly flag genuine customer purchases as fraud, because that would annoy innocent customers. For that, we also need high precision. If recall is too low, real frauds slip through the cracks, but if precision is too low, genuine customers get blocked, and that's equally bad. Another example is a student admission or scholarship model. Here, precision ensures that only truly deserving students get selected, while recall ensures we don't miss out on deserving candidates who also deserve that chance. So, what's the conclusion? Instead of focusing on just precision or just recall, we need a single metric that balances both, and that's exactly why the F score exists. Alright, now that we know why precision and recall are important, let's talk about the reason behind the F1 score. What we really want is a single number that tells us how good a model is in terms of both recall and precision. At first, you might think, why not just take the average of precision and recall? Sounds simple, right? But here's the problem. The average can sometimes gives us a misleading result. For example, imagine recall is only 50%, but precision is perfect at 100%. If we take the average, the score comes out to 75%. On paper, that looks pretty good, but in reality, recall is poor. The model is missing half of the positive cases. So we need something smarter, a way of combining precision and recall that actually punishes the score whenever one of them is low. And that's exactly why we use the harmonic mean, which gives us the F1 score. Okay, now let's see how we calculate the F1 score. The formula is simple. The F1 score is the harmonic mean of precision and recall. Mathematically, it is written as F1 is equal to 2 into P into R by P plus R. But here's the big question, why do we use the harmonic mean instead of just taking the normal average? Well, the issue with the simple average is that it does not punish the model enough when one of the values is really low. For example, suppose precision is perfect at 100% but recall is only 20%. If we take the average, we get 60%. That looks like a decent score, but in reality, recall is very poor. So the model is not actually performing well. Now, if we calculate the harmonic mean, the F1 score comes out to about 33%, and this is much more realistic because it correctly reflects that the model is weak due to low recall. That's the beauty of the harmonic mean. It always stays closer to the smaller number, so the F1 score truly balances both precision and recall. Now let's go through a detailed working example so the F1 score really makes sense. Imagine we are testing an email spam classification model on 100 emails. Here's what happens. The model predicts 30 emails correctly as spam. These are our true positives, but it also wrongly marks 10 normal emails as spam. Those are false positives. It misses 20 spam emails, calling them normal. That's our false negatives. And finally, it correctly identifies 40 normal emails, our true negatives. Now let's calculate the metrics step by step. First, precision. TP by TP plus FP is equals to 0.75. This means out of all the emails flagged as spam, 75% were actually spam, while 25% were wrongly flagged. Second, recall. TP by TP plus FN is equals to 0.6. This means the model only caught 60% of the real spam emails, so it missed 40%. Finally, the F1 score is 2 into precision into recall by precision plus recall. Plugging in the numbers, we get about 0.667. So what does this tell us? Even though precision looks pretty good at 0.75, recall is weaker at 0.6. The F1 score balances the two and shows us the model's overall performance is moderate, with clear room for improvement. The key takeaway is a good F1 score requires both precision and recall to be high, not just one of them. Up until now, we have looked at the F1 score, which balances precision and recall equally. But here's the catch. In real-world problems, precision and recall are not always equally important. For example, in medical diagnosis, missing a sick patient that's a false negative can be very dangerous. So here, recall is far more important. On the other hand, spam detection, wrongly flagging a genuine email as spam is frustrating for users. That means precision becomes more important. So how do we handle these situations? That's where the F beta score comes in. The F beta score is just an extension of the F1 score, but it gives us the ability to control how much weight we give to precision versus recall using a parameter called beta. In simple terms, if beta is greater than 1, we care more about recall. If beta is less than 1, we care more about precision. Alright, now let's zoom into the most important part of the F beta score, the role of beta itself. Think of beta like a slider or volume knob that lets us decide whether recall or precision should matter more. If beta is greater than 1, we put more weight on recall. For example, if beta is equals to 2, the score heavily rewards models that catches as many positives as possible. If beta is equals to 1, then recall and precision are equally important, and that's just our familiar F1 score. If beta is less than 1, we put more weight on precision, meaning we prefer fewer false alarms. To make it concrete, in a disease detection model, missing a sick person is costly, so we might use beta equals 2 to focus on recall. In a spam filter, wrongly deleting real emails is worse, so we might use beta equals 0.5 to focus on a precision. So the big takeaway is beta makes the F beta score flexible. It lets us customize our evaluation metric based on what type of error is more costly in our specific problem. Now let's see how we actually calculate the F beta score. The formula looks like this. F beta equals 1 plus beta square multiply P into R by beta square into P plus R. Here P stands for precision, R stands for recall, and beta is the parameter that decides the balance between the two. If beta is greater than 1, the formula gives more weight to recall. If beta is less than 1, the formula gives more weight to precision. And if beta equals 1, it simplifies back to the familiar F1 score. So essentially, the F beta score is just a flexible version of F1, where this beta parameter lets us mathematically control whether we care more about catching positives or about avoiding false alarms. Alright, now let's walk through a complete example of the F beta score using a spam detection model. We test on 100 emails. Out of these, 40 are actually spam, 60 are not spam. Our model predicts correctly on most, but here's the breakdown. 30 spam emails are caught correctly. That's our true positives. 10 normal emails are wrongly flagged as spam. Those are false positives. 10 spam emails are missed. That's false negatives. And 50 normal emails are correctly left alone. Our true negatives. Now let's calculate step by step. Precision is 30 by 30 plus 10 is 0.75. Recall is 30 by 30 plus 10 is 0.75. So in this case, both precision and recall are equal at 0.75. Now let's see how the F beta score reacts with different value of beta. With F1 score, beta equals 1, precision and recall are balanced, so the score is 0.75. With F 0.5 score, which emphasize precision, the values still come out to 0.75 here, but in cases where precision is higher than recall, this score would rise more. With F2 score, which emphasizes recall, again the result here is 0.75, but in situations where recall is stronger, F2 would reward that more. So the important takeaway is not just the number, but what beta allows us to do. F1 is balanced, a general purpose choice. F 0.5 is for cases where false positives are costly, like a spam filter mistakenly deleting important emails. F2 is for cases where false negatives are costly, like medical diagnosis, where missing a disease is far worse than a false alarm. That's the real power of the F beta score. It adapts to the problem we care about. And that's a wrap up for today's session. We started with why we need the F score, explored examples, broke down the F1 score step by step, and then extended it into the more flexible F beta score. Now you know how to balance precision and recall depending on what really matters in your problem. I hope this made the concept super clear for you. If you found this helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more easy breakdowns of ML concepts. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.